The day my wife Vera left me, I had absolutely nothing. I was homeless, hopeless, and she told me I was a failure to my face right before she walked out. Then I inherited 70 billion naira. Now, the same woman who threw me out like yesterday's trash is begging our church to force her back into my life. You have probably heard weird stories online about betrayal and overnight billionaires, and maybe you have wondered if they are real. Well, let me tell you my own story because I need your advice right now. Just a year ago, my life was simple and it was good. I wasn't a rich man, but I worked hard, and my wife Vera and I had a comfortable life. I had a good job, a home we loved, and a future we truly believed in. But life has a way of throwing tests at you that you never see coming. The company I worked for suddenly downsized, and just like that, I lost my job with it. The entire foundation of our life began to crack. The financial strain was bad, but it didn't take long for the stress to turn into something much uglier. Vera, she changed. The woman I loved, the one I had planned my entire life with, started looking at me with pure frustration. Then it became resentment, and then finally, just cold contempt. Our words turned into weapons. At first, it was sharp comments about me not finding another job faster. Then it escalated into cruel insults that chipped away at my spirits day after day. She called me a failure, a burden. Our home used to be a sanctuary, but suddenly it felt like a war zone. I was desperate to save our marriage, so I went to our pastor. I told him everything: the job loss, the debts piling up, and now Vera's anger was just getting worse. I was hoping he could mediate, give us some guidance, anything to get us back to the love we once shared. He counseled us against divorce, talking about patience, forgiveness, and weathering the storms together. For a moment, I actually felt a flicker of hope, but Vera's mind was made up. She wasn't interested in weathering any storm with me. She wanted out. The pastor's advice meant nothing to her. She insisted on a divorce. Her voice so cold and final it still gives me chills. "I'm done," she said. And with that, she didn't just abandon me. She abandoned the home we had built together. Without her income, I couldn't pay the rent. The eviction notice was the final blow. I packed the few things I could carry out and walked away from my old life. At my absolute lowest, when I needed my partner the most, I was left with absolutely nothing. I became homeless. Life on the streets of Lagos teaches you what it means to be invisible. People don't look at you, they look through you. Like you are a ghost. Every day was a fight for survival. Find a safe place under a bridge to sleep. Find something to eat and try to fight off the crushing despair. I had lost everything: my home, my wife, my dignity. But even in all that darkness, some stubborn part of me refused to give up. I held onto the memory of the man I used to be, and I kept telling myself, this is just a chapter. This is not the whole story. I would ensure to always dress well, even while I was hustling on the street. One afternoon, I managed to gather enough money for 2 loaves of agege bread. I would eat the evening and then the next morning. As I was about to eat, I saw an old woman, frail and shaking, looking at my food with a hunger that broke my heart. And as a believer, I must love my neighbor as myself. And without a second thought, I gave one of the loaves to her. She just nodded, tears in her eyes. It wasn't much, but it was what I had. Few minutes later, a black car pulled up and a man in a sharp, expensive suit stepped out. He looked completely out of place in my world of grim and survival. He walked straight towards me. "Are you Shinedu?" he asked, his voice calm and professional. I just nodded suspiciously. Strangers don't just talk to you on the street unless they want something. He held out a hand. "My name is Mr. Adebayo. We have been watching you. You have passed the first test." He then said the words that shattered my reality. "You have just inherited 70 billion naira." I stared at him confused. This had to be a scam or some kind of cruel joke. Oga, leave me alone, I mumbled. But Mr. Adebayo didn't even blink. He opened his briefcase and showed me a death certificate for an estranged uncle of mine, Emeka, and a copy of a will. He explained that my uncle, a man I barely knew, had passed away and left me his entire estate. After taxes and fees, it all came to 70 billion naira. The number was so big it didn't feel real. But then came the cash, and it was a dramatic one. There is a condition, Mr. Adebayo explained. It's soon getting serious. You have 72 hours to get to Abuja, to your uncle's penthouse in Kubwa. Once there, you must watch a video message he left for you. Only after you watch it, you learn the final requirements to claim the inheritance. My head was spinning. I couldn't process any of it. But what he said next snapped me right into focus. If you fail to comply within 72 hours, he said, looking at me straight in the eyes, the entire estate, all 70 billion naira, will go to the alternate beneficiary. Who is the alternate? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Mr. Adebayo paused. Your ex-wife, Vera. The air was sucked from my lungs. My uncle, a man I hadn't seen in 20 years, somehow wrote a will that reached right into the heart of my personal hell. The thought of Vera, the woman who left me homeless because I was a failure, getting that money, it was unthinkable. That was all the motivation I needed. A few hours later, I was on a flight to Abuja. I was still in my tattered clothes, but I had a first-class ticket. The penthouse was unreal, a universe away from the park bench I had been calling home. And there, on a giant screen, was my uncle Emeka. In the video, he explained everything. He had followed my life from a distance and knew about my struggles. He knew my character. Then came the shocker. He had orchestrated my job loss. He had a quiet word with the MD of my company. He said he was sorry for the hardship, but he had to know my true character. He even went extra mile to make sure where I applied jobs do not return back to me. He even went extra mile to make sure where I had applied for jobs do not respond to me. He didn't want his fortune wasted. He wanted it to be a tool for good. Then he revealed the final condition to get the money. I had to set up a charitable foundation dedicated to helping the homeless. It was a mission born from my own suffering. He wasn't just giving me money, he was giving me a purpose. I accepted on the spot and my life began to transform. I wasn't Chinedu, the homeless man anymore. I was Chinedu, the philanthropist, the head of the Emeka Foundation. The money didn't just give me stability, but the mission that gave me my self-worth back. News about my inheritance spread like wildfire. It wasn't long before the story got back better. The woman who had thrown me away for being a financial failure was suddenly faced with the reality of my 70 billion fortune. And just as my uncle seemed to know she would, she came back. But she didn't come back with a simple "I'm sorry." No, she came back with a strategy. It started with a call from our pastor, the same man who had advised us against divorce. His voice was so gentle, full of carefully chosen words about forgiveness and second chances. He told me Vera was deeply remorseful and he had made a terrible mistake. He said she wanted to come home, framing her return as some kind of moral duty on my part. She was weaponizing the church. The institution I had gone to for help was now being used as a tool for her greed. They saw a broken woman looking for redemption. I saw a master manipulator putting on a performance. The pressure kept building. I got some calls from other church members, all singing the same song. Think about what you are doing, Chinedu. Forgiveness is a virtue. Finally, I agreed to a meeting, not just with Vera, but with her and the church elders who had become her little army. We met in the same church where I had once begged for help to save my marriage. Vera put on an Oscar-worthy performance. Tears streamed down her face as she talked about her moment of weakness and the unbearable mistakes she had made. She said she never stopped loving me, that seeing me suffer had broken her heart. A lie so bold it was almost impressive. The elders watched her, nodding with sympathy. Then they turned to me, their eyes full of expectation. Chinedu once said softly, "It is the Christian way to forgive. Can you find it in your heart to take her back?" I let the silence hang in the air. I looked at each of them. I looked at Vera, her eyes wide with desperate hope. And then I spoke. my voice perfectly calm and clear. "I do forgive you, Vera," I said, "and I meant it. I forgive you for leaving me when I had nothing. I forgive you for the cruel things you said. But forgiving you and letting you back into my life are two completely different things." I turned to the elders. "You talk about forgiveness, but you seem to have forgotten about justice and self-respect. When I was homeless, she called me a failure and threw me away. Was that the Christian way? Now that I have 70 billion naira, she wants me back. Does that sound like sincere repentance to you? Or does it sound like she has seen an opportunity?" The room went completely silent. I looked at Vera. "The money didn't change me," I told her. "It revealed you. It showed me that your love was completely conditional. The condition was my bank account. I passed the test I didn't even know I was taking. And you failed it spectacularly. You never wanted me. You want what I have, and you can never have it." I walked out of that church and I never looked back. The weight of her betrayal, which I had been carrying for so long, was just gone. Today, my life is full. The Emeka Foundation has already helped hundreds of people get back on their feet with shelter, job training, and a real second chance. The kind you earn, not the kind you demand. The money gave me the power to change lives, but it started with my own. I found peace, not in the billions of naira, but in the purpose it gave me and in reclaiming my own self-respect. Vera wanted a piece of my fortune, but what she really lost was nothing so much more valuable: a life with a man who finally understands his own worth. Some people say stories like this are just about revenge, but they are not. It's also teaching you that your downtime might just be a time God is using to forge you into what He wants to use you for. The best revenge isn't watching your enemy fall. It's building a life so good that you become relevant for God in this life. Thank you for listening to my story. It just goes to show that sometimes our lowest moments can lead to our greatest turning points. So I have to ask you, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Let me know in the comments below. And please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. Amen.